Hey Fruit Faces, it is Claryberry here, and I can't help myself but to comment on the whole Durian Rider extravaganza drama, whatever the fuck is going on lately. Honestly, I haven't been following it. I've been following Tanny Raw's cue of staying out of vegan drama. I don't care about the clickbaiting, talking about whoever the hell he's accusing of pedophilia. And there was the Hannah Chloe thing. He's been apparently like cheating, or a long time ago, I guess he had broken up and got with a bunch of 20-year-old girls. Even more recently, there's been speculation that him and Freelee are breaking up, that he's on drugs, he's on steroids still. And I have to say, from the Q&A that I saw in Chiang Mai, it doesn't look good at all for Durian Rider at this point. I talk a lot about reflection and projection. Reflect and project is kind of the same thing, because if you're projecting, it's going to reflect off somebody else. So in that way, it is kind of the same. But I always talk about this. I think it's a great tool for learning to continually watch yourself and really see what, not only pay attention to what is happening to you, how people are reacting to you, but also how you're reacting to other people. So if somebody is, getting in your face, calling you names, treating you a certain way, even just lying to you or doing something, anything that you don't like, you should always stop and look at that and say either how are my beliefs causing this situation, how are my actions causing this situation, or how am I otherwise attracting this situation to myself. Usually you can find a way. Usually you can take the problem, person is a liar, and flip it around. I've talked about this too. It's really helped me over the past years to say, okay, this person's lying. I'm lying. I'm honest. And you flip it around as many ways as you can and see which ways fit. It just kind of helps you get a glimpse into different perspectives, because there really is always two sides to a story. And I think a lot of times people, don't want to try to be evil, and they don't wake up and say, hey, I'd like to be a bad, shitty fucking person today, but they just let themselves do it or let it happen. So this is, one of those tools that you can use, because you've heard the spiritual quotes, everything, change starts from the inside. It really always does. It's just a law of the universe. It's just what happens. You attract people to you that are on the same wavelength. When I look at this Durian Rider thing, there are a couple of themes that are just popping up, and people who are doing videos on him are saying, oh, what a coincidence, how hypocritical of him. It's so ironic. He is attacking people for the very own same thing that he's been attacked on. I just have to say that these ideas of projection may sound like they're kind of like ding dong hoo-ha shit, but whatever that means. But this is real psychology stuff, with all of the allegations, with all of the drama, and taking into consideration Durian Rider's behavior and Freelee's behavior. And also, I'm a little more doubtful, I'm a little more untrusting of men after having like 15 years of bad relationships in a row. A little untrusting. And so I really feel a little protective of Freelee as a woman. I love Durian Rider and Freelee. They both have changed my life, obviously, for the better, and I totally back Raw Till 4, and I will totally back them as long as I possibly can. Like I said, it's really clear to me that everything that he's doing, even back to there was prior allegations of being a creep or trying to get with 20-year-old girls. Like, hey, why is he calling somebody else out on that? Because he's doing the same thing. Went back, I think, back to the Henya Mania thing with the just vegan, and then they kind of attacked each other or whatever. Seem to remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember Durian calling Henya a liar and saying, that her videos didn't really do much for the vegan community. And then when you flip that back around on Harley, it's like, wait a second. To me, like, you've been lying, doing some lying of your own. And have your videos lately been about the animals or the vegan movement or spreading the message? It's one thing to not care what people think, but it's another thing to just go off the deep end. And if that is caused by drugs, obviously that explains a lot too. I'm not trying to make any judgment calls or throw Durian under the bus or anything, but I'm just saying it would make sense. And I think Freelee, if you ever see this video for some reason, I really hope that you just take this into consideration when dealing with him and dealing with anybody, because honestly, I was really proud of Freelee and her talk that she had with him in public in Chiang Mai. Somebody had asked about, what Durian Rider could do to better his development or what he wasn't doing. And she was very, very telling, very open, very honest, and seemed very, concerned. It almost seemed like a last ditch effort to really try and convince him. But I honestly felt like, hopefully she goes and watches that maybe a couple times, because you can really see the emotions from Harley come across, and you can really see that he's in so much denial about this drug. I mean, another thing that he would have possibly been reflecting and projecting on is the lying thing. And I remember when it came down to Asina, he was one of the front runners. And not to say that, there was nothing to be concerned about or nothing going on. It's not like, it's always totally unjust what you're saying about other people. That really means, you're doing it yourself. But, it's just weird how all of these accusations are the same on both sides. The accusations that are coming out are the accusations that are coming in. And that's how the world works. You give what you get. The type of energy that you put out there is the type of energy that you're going to receive. And I just want to make a note too. I don't necessarily think that he necessarily is a sexual predator or a rapist or anything else. I did see the videos. It looks like he might have been a little strong in coming on to somebody that was probably totally inappropriate for him to come on to. But, just because he's accusing somebody of being a pedophile or something doesn't necessarily mean the situations are exactly the same. But again, it is interesting. He's calling other people out for being creeps. That's because his guilty conscience is finding that in life so that he can let it. I mean, again, look it up. It's science. The rage is one thing that I really just want to caution. He's downplaying it. He's making justifications for everything. He's only thinking it's a problem if I take this certain amount. It's only a problem if I rage in this certain way. And that is absolutely not okay. Should not be put up with by a partner at all. It really seems to me like, really honestly, Harley is in a place where he just can't or is refusing to listen to anybody. Obviously, that's this whole thing. Like, can't take constructive criticism. But I just really hope and pray that it's not because he's really like a sick person on the inside and that he's been hiding that from everybody and like a sociopathic narcissist or something. I really hope that it is the drugs. And I think Freelee would know. But again, I just want Freelee to be really careful, because I do care, and I feel like, especially regarding the rage and the lies. I mean, rage is, yes, a side effect of steroids, but is lying and cheating? No. Be careful not to lump everything into these excuse boxes and make excuses for somebody because you've been with them 9 years, 6 years, whatever. It's a long fucking time to be with somebody. It really is. But again, I just want Freelee to be really careful, because I do care, and I feel like, especially regarding the rage and the lies. I mean, rage is, yes, a side effect of steroids, but is lying and cheating? No. Be careful not to lump everything into these excuse boxes and make excuses for somebody because you've been with them 9 years, 6 years, whatever. It's a long fucking time to be with somebody. And what you do while you're away during those periods, especially if it's a very small period, that's basically cheating. That shows you that they're not interested in keeping it going. So I really urge Freelee to be honest with herself and her motives, be honest with herself about his behavior, and not try to scapegoat it on the drugs, because lying is a personality trait. It's not something that just happens. I mean, you may have to lie about your drug use, but it shouldn't be going over into other areas. That's not a side effect of steroids. And, she mentioned stealing. I don't know if that's, problems she's had with Durian or whatever, but she did mention that in the Q&A. That's not something that usually steroids will make you do. I mean, it is like other drugs in some way, but I mean, unless you just can't afford it and you start to steal about the money, then, which, I guess is feasible. It's just not an excuse to blame everything on. And people who are liars, people who don't really care deep down, they are fucking unbelievable at manipulation. And we all know that Durian Rider is a really suave guy. And so his success as well, just really like, and all of this stuff is really making him stand out more as a possible narcissist or sociopath because they're very successful. They usually, especially the good ones, the ones that are good at being a sociopath or whatever, they rise to the top. People on the outside who don't really know them tend to love them, and they're very charismatic in ways, and they've got strong opinions and all of this stuff. Like, it's really making sense that this could possibly be the type of situation that we're dealing with. I don't like saying that, and it wouldn't even make me hate him, because honestly I think that would be pretty much caused by a parental figure or something when they were young. I think that a lot of times being a sociopath or narcissist is because you really feel slighted, that you were neglected or something as a child, or mistreated, and so you think that you deserve more. You think that everybody owes you, and it's kind of just an internal way for you to like deal with the situation and make yourself be so big, because you have to justify to yourself and your subconscious why somebody allowed themselves to treat you that way, if that makes sense. So I just want Freelee to be very, very careful. And if you guys can help me get this message to her, just be very careful and be very, very, and be, just learn from my mistakes, because I just stayed so long for whatever reason. And, honestly, with those type of people, what you see is just the tip of the iceberg. And so just hold the possibility in your mind that this guy may not be who you think he is, even though it's been 9 years. These types of people are excellent at control, manipulation, and the way that they do it, it really kind of blows you over sometimes and makes you start to question yourself and go along with things that you would never normally go along with. Okay? And just the fact that he did bring up, one time it was big, everybody was talking about domestic violence, and that makes me worry about it, because she's saying he's admitting to raging, although he didn't hit any thing, but still, it makes me worried. It makes me really worried. And, people like that don't fucking change. They don't get better. It just doesn't happen. I mean, maybe with a lot of therapy, some people say therapy makes it worse. I don't know, but they don't change their base personality, even if they get off the drugs. So, again, the cheating, that's not caused by steroids. That was him. And that type of person who's always narcissists and sociopaths are always going around looking for their next, supply, their next sexual, conquest or whatever, attempted sexual conquest anyway. And, somebody who's like that, somebody who's going to go do that, somebody who is capable of doing that on a short break, not somebody you need to waste your time on. So again, I don't know all the details. I'm just saying my opinion. Hopefully this helps, somebody somewhere. I'm praying for this situation, because they are, in some ways they're really looked up to, and in others they're not. And this doesn't help the vegan community, of course. I mean, maybe it will in the long run. Who knows? Maybe we need to go through this together. But yeah, I think that perhaps maybe Freelee is just seeing a little bit of the problem and just trying to blame it on the drugs. At least that's what it sounded like from their discussion. I think that she should really stand her own and take care of herself and really do a lot of self-love and research about narcissism and sociopaths and stuff like that. If she hasn't already, or even if she has, do it more. I feel like if he was a really caring person deep down, regardless of whether he was addicted to drugs or not, he would have listened to her better. And maybe, he was put on the spot, and maybe not, maybe it'll come later, hopefully, to where he really realizes that she cares, that she's got a valid point, tons of valid points, that he needs to change his behavior. He needs to change his whole personality, really, which again, I'm not too optimistic about, because that's a really hard thing to do, is to change basic personality, factors or traits. Those things just don't change overnight. And I just don't feel like he was listening to her at all. I feel like everything was in denial. He's not even moved to a place where, and if he really trusted her, if they really had a great relationship, he wouldn't treat her like that. Even in just that instance, if everything else is false. In that instance, he was dismissing her very argumentative, just not listening to what she had to say at all and her concerns. And I have a feeling that was not the first conversation. So he probably already knew her concerns, and that seemed like a last resort. And so that's really just lays it out. I mean, and it's difficult to accept sometimes, but that shows that he does not care about Freelee or her concerns. And I hope that Freelee does what's best for her. So blessings to everyone, and thanks for watching. And like I said, help out, share this video with Freelee, tag her, help me send it to her, message her, just tell her the message. And hopefully she will do the right thing, because I just don't want, with all the drama that there's been, everything needs to just smooth out. And if they have to go their separate ways, I think that's probably, might be best at this point. I just don't want, something even worse to happen. So that's my 2 cents. I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh, and don't forget, be excellent, and be excellent to each other.